Today we finish our series on the Upper Lake with our third installment. Today we start out in Spring Park Bay, heading west into the channel that leads to Black Lake. Black Lake is a small 76-acre bay that is relatively shallow. Its depth ranges from 10 to 20 feet in most places. Its name is derived from a Native American tradition that says the moon never shines on Black Lake. The bay has become a favorite anchorage for swimmers on a hot day. The northern half of the bay is all quiet waters. Once you get past these slow markers, you can open up the throttle. Along the north shore of Black Lake is Lake Minnetonka Shores, which is a senior living facility operated by Presbyterian Homes. It's probably the only such facility around to have its own marina. Here comes their pontoon boat now with a group of residents returning from an excursion on the lake. Moving west, we enter a long channel that leads to Seton Lake. The south shore of the channel is Phelps Island, which is part of Mound. The north side has the Island Park Apartments, which are in the village of Spring Park. Seton Lake is named for the Seton Guild, a Catholic all-girls school named after Elizabeth Seton, which was once on its shores. Here we find the Back Channel Brewery, which is open Tuesdays through Sundays. They have 4 slips on the channel and use a system of green flags to let you know when one of them is open. This 44-acre bay is the hub of the Upper Lake, traveling north to West Arm and south towards Cook's Bay, as well as east back to Spring Park Bay. We now head south through the channel towards Cook's Bay. This beaver lodge has been here for many years. Right before the bridge, the channel gets a little wider. This area is called Emerald Lake, which is generously listed as 13 acres. We are now entering Cook's Bay. Cook's Bay is a 343-acre lake named for Matthias Cook, who owned 141 acres just to the west of this channel. Cook was the son-in-law of John Carman. He built the Lakeview House in 1859, which was one of the first hotels on the upper lake. His dock was called Cook's Landing. In 1860, Matthias sold 2 acres to Carman's son, Frank. Frank built this log cabin, which still exists today. To the west of the cabin was Edward Bartlett's property and the Bartlett House. Built in 1883, it was another of Mound City's many hotels. Now we arrive at the Lost Lake Channel. Check out these alligators on the left. When James J. Hill opened his railroad to Mound, he built the depot a half-mile north of town, which was pretty inconvenient for everyone. The Lost Lake Channel was dredged to bring steamboats to the depot. As Mound's business district slowly drifted north to be with the train depot, Mound began referring to Lost Lake as the Harbor District and offered public slips to boaters for access to all the restaurants and businesses there. To the east are the Villas at Lost Lake, a townhome community. Auditor's Road, which services Lost Lake and the Harbor District, is currently closed as an over 55 housing facility is being built. It should be noted that the small hill in this yard just west of the Lost Lake Channel is actually one of the few native burial mounds remaining, for which Mound City was named. Sadly, most of them were the victims of agriculture, construction, or just souvenir hunting by careless European settlers. Back on the lake, we continue our exploration of Cook's Bay. This apartment building is a condominium association called Chapman Place, named for the Chapman House, a 19th century hotel established by Seymour and Sumner Chapman. The hotel up on the hill had a casino here on the lakeshore. The casino later became Surfside, a popular bar and restaurant in the 1960s and 70s. The park to the west consists of a boat ramp as well as a very nice swimming beach. Originally named Mound Bay Park, the city eventually gave in to its residents, who have been calling it Surfside Park after the former restaurant. The park pavilion is actually the old railroad depot, moved from its original location at Shoreline Drive in Commerce. The western shore of Cook's Bay is called the Highlands. The Highlands was the home of the Baptist Assembly Grounds, where the Reverend Billy Graham once preached. Shoreline was also the home of Gophers football coach P.J. Fleck. Kitty corner from the Highlands in the southeast corner of Cook's Bay is Al and Alma's. The supper club was started in 1956 by Al and Alma Quist. By day, Al was the mayor of Island Park, and at night he cooked the best food on the lake. They also have a 7-ship fleet of charter boats that offer public and private dinner cruises. 5 of these boats call the restaurant their home port, while the other 2 are on the lower lake. The flagship Bella Vista is the largest boat on the lake. Al and Alma's made national notoriety in 2007 when the Minnesota Vikings had their love boat scandal on board one of their cruises. Directly across from Phelps Island and Al and Alma's is Hardscrabble Point. Hardscrabble Point is notable for its long, narrow, seemingly impassable geography. It divides Priest Bay to the north from the West Upper Lake on the south. Priest Bay is named for J.D. Priest, a farmer who settled on the bay. It has 144 acres and over 2 miles of shoreline. On the western end of Priest Bay is the channel leading to Halsted's Bay. Halsted's Bay is named for Captain Francis Halsted, who built a cabin on its southern shore. Frank, along with his brother George Halsted, were covered extensively in our previous episode on the Upper Lake. Halsted is a large bay with 545 acres and over 7 miles of shoreline. This little inlet is called Cardinal Cove. Just past Cardinal Cove, in the northwest corner of the bay, is this boat ramp. It features a dock and has parking along Halsted Drive. This is the farthest point west on Lake Minnetonka. Across from the boat ramp is where 6 Mile Creek enters Lake Minnetonka. 6 Mile Creek flows here from Lake Auburn in Victoria, passing through several other lakes along its way. We now turn back east and follow the shoreline towards Kings Point. Passing Kings Point, we turn south into a rather large part of the bay. Though large, it is very shallow here. This photo, taken in the 1880s, shows Halsted's Bay before the Grays Bay Dam raised the level of the lake. It was basically a big swamp. A sandbar coming off Cove Point almost severs the bay in two. We have to travel most of the way across the bay to clear it. After clearing the sandbar, we head west again towards the Woodland Cove Channel. This channel is horseshoe-shaped, entering here and exiting a half-mile south. It serves as a marina for the Woodland Cove housing development. The Woodland Cove housing development is huge, with single-family homes, townhomes, and condominiums. When it's finished, I would expect Minnetonka's population to double. McIntoons is building a new supermarket to service the neighborhood. There are way more boat slips here than when I visited last year. It's also very shallow in here. I have my stern drive raised up to clear the mucky bottom. Exiting Woodland Cove, we find ourselves on the south shore of Halsted's Bay. This is where Frank Halsted built his first cabin. This marina belongs to the Trillium Bay Homeowners Association. From here, we turn back north and follow the eastern shore of Halsted's Bay. This narrow strip of land is simply called the Pass by the locals. Here is the pass in the 1920s. And this is what it looked like in the 1940s. It is an isthmus of land between Halsted's Bay and the West Upper Lake. This concludes our three-part summary on the Upper Lake. Between these three videos and the West Arm and Crystal Bay videos we did last year, I think we've covered every corner of Upper Lake Minnetonka. As always, click on like and subscribe for more great videos of Lake Minnetonka.